Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. And you, of course, remember when we broke Bud Light and terrified Target with some of the most powerful, effective boycotts ever. And you remember what Bud Light ended up doing, right? They ended up firing their woke marketing executives, all as Target was forced to hide their rainbow displays and consign them to the back of their stores. Well, unfortunately, just when you thought that they'd gotten the hint, Target CEOs come out and has attempted to simply deny reality regarding Target's Pride Month disaster. Brian Cornell, who's the CEO in question, he's claiming, and I kid you not, that Target actually never worked with a satanic fashion designer, which we know not to be true. They certainly did. And they're claiming that their transgender tuck friendly swimsuits weren't targeted to children, despite the fact that they were being marketed in the children's section of their stores. In other words, they're trying to gaslight us. But obviously, it's not going to work. Patriots have fully embraced the age of consumer politics, and these woke corporations look like they're ready to get some more boycotts. Joining me today is a hero of the burgeoning parallel economy, the Patriot brand builder and podcaster extraordinaire, Andy Slamans. Andy left his dream job at a corporation that went woke, and he's now helping fellow conservatives gain their own financial independence from these woke leftist atrocities and flourish in the growing parallel economy. So, Andy, welcome. Great to see you again, my friend.
Oh man, I'm so excited to be on your show, Steve. You know what you just said there. I heard a quote the other day: "Cancel culture is dying, and we are not going to give it any pain meds to alleviate the pain."
I love it. Make it writhe. Make it writhe. That's right. Just sit there with our Schadenfreude smiles. That's right. You get what you do. Well, they cancel themselves. That's the
That's
fascinating
right.
part of it all. We had a great time at Mar-a-Lago together a few weeks back. Great meeting your wife. And it was just wonderful, wonderful evening with number 45.
We did. Yeah. You know what? It probably surprised you, but I have a memento. So I actually kept this from the bathroom. So, you know, the classiest bathrooms that you go to, they always have napkins like this, right?
Yep.
So I actually keep this by my bedside. I pray every single day our next president, which I believe is going to be President Donald Trump.
Number 47. Absolutely. And all the polls are bearing it out right now. It's astonishing. So, yeah, I'm just, I'm curious in your thoughts on this PR disaster and the response from Target. I mean, what do you think's going on there?
Well, you know, unfortunately, my wife and I were part of a corporation that actually was similar to what Target is going through. So we work for an institution that cared for children. It was actually over 100 years old. It was founded on biblical principles, like a lot of our older institutions are.
Right. That's
And
right.
it actually started to go woke. And so what happened was some elitist, highly educated people took over the leadership at the top, and the policies that they started to enact were just crazy compared to the previous 100 years. And so, you know, it was actually a dream job for us. I'm a youth ministry social work major. I thought we were going to retire from there. And then almost overnight, when the leadership changed and these crazy people came in and started enacting these crazy policies, the institutional drift, and it was just like a culture rot. And so that's what my wife and I found ourselves in. I'm sure there are probably a lot of conservatives, you know, that work for Target that may find themselves in that similar situation. So that's where we were 2013, and just struggling internally, knowing that our internal values were going against, right, the values that the current upper echelon leadership were trying to push. I think a lot of folks find themselves in that situation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and you're helping getting them out of that. That's what I love about what you're doing, gang. If you don't know, Andy is actually conducting a free training on how you can get financially freed from the woke world and build wealth fully immersed in the rising parallel economy. Just click on the link below to register for this free online event. Andy, you touched on it there. Yeah, I mean, your own journey is fascinating. This sort of exodus from the woke corporate world. How did you go from being a cog in the say woke corporate wheel to helping people by the thousands discover your company, Amazing Freedom. I love the title of it, as your company's called. Tell us a little bit about this journey of how you went from being inside that world to how you ended up becoming, uh, I won't say a Moses, but someone who can help free other people
Yeah.
from the woke Pharaoh regime.
Yeah, for sure. So, when I think about that time of the internal struggle that my wife and I were going through, so our mantra is what you say here every week. It's faith, family, and freedom. So
Yeah.
we've been married now 28 years, and from day one, that's what we believed in. And so, as we were going through that internal struggle, and knowing that for me personally, I didn't have a lot of skills outside of what I was already doing, I really felt handcuffed and I felt stuck. And Dr. Steve, you weren't on YouTube in 2010. So I didn't know about the
Right.
parallel economy.
That's
you know,
right.
if I had heard your message 2009, 2010, 2011, it would have resonated with me
Wow.
immediately
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I began to realize, you know what? I put my hopes in this company that was very different. It was a very different company when I started than the company it had became 10 years later. And
And
so,
it's so fast, the speed, the
oh,
rapidity
yes.
of that change. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. It was insane. And so, internally though, like our souls were dying and we were struggling. And honestly, like we just didn't know there was another way. And so, I went to college. I went to public school, which I often call prison. We homeschooled our children because of that. They teach you to sit down, shut up.
Yeah.
They don't teach you to think critically. They
Right.
teach you to basically be a good employee. And so that's what I
Right.
was striving to do, but then I realized, like, look, I have to take ownership for my family. I have to take ownership if I want my family to be financially free. I can't depend on a company that could change. And honestly, it was about a year and a half that the company changed from night, to or from day to night,
The day to
basically.
night. Yeah. 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 And then, but then what I find so fascinating is it didn't just stop with you. You wanted to share this passion, this path to independence with others.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a next door neighbor who shared a simple message with me about an incredible business opportunity. I still think it is probably the best business opportunity in the history of the world, but she shared it with me over and over. I finally listened to her, started to look into it. And while we were working there, I started then to do what you often tell us to do. I started to build a parallel economy. And
Right.
so part time, I was working on this business, and within the first 12 months, while still doing my full time job and
Right.
being excellent at that, I started to build a parallel economy. In that first 12 months, my revenue was $160,000. And by year 18, I was up to $200,000.
Wow.
And so it just, this opportunity, it just took off, exploded. And it was at that 18th month mark where my wife and I, we prayed about it. We said, okay, you know what? This is a great opportunity. We are going to become entrepreneurs and we're going to establish a family based business. One of the shows that we were watching during this time, Dr. Steve, I don't know if you ever watched it, it was extremely encouraging to me. It was called Duck Dynasty.
Oh, of
So,
course. Love Duck Dynasty.
it's about the Robinson
The
family.
Robinsons.
And
Yeah.
honestly, it's going to sound a little corny, but I would watch that show and cry
Yeah. Yeah.
because I
I know.
had such admiration for the values that they taught in that show. I had such admiration for how they honored the patriarch of the show. And then, for me, the closing scene when they gathered around that table and prayed as a family and knowing that they were all rowing in the same direction in their family business, I said, Lord, that's what I want. I want a family-based business, take ownership for myself, and what you often say again, begin to build that parallel economy. And so when I did that, I couldn't keep the message to myself. And so, just started sharing it on social media. And that's how I got introduced to a friend of yours, Ralph, who I think was the mutual introduction for us. And that's just kind of how it started. And it just grew from there. And now there are thousands of folks who are finding that same freedom, who a lot of them, again, are in those similar circumstances.
And you yourself are thriving as well. I believe you're an 8-figure business at this point, which is astonishing. It's so amazing what you've accomplished. Uh, what I mean, you talk with conservatives all the time, patriots all the time. What do you think is keeping conservatives in a woke environment like Target instead of taking the route you took? I mean, your story sounds very similar to mine in that I was in academia for 20 years, and then I was doing media and the YouTube channel on the side. So it was this part-time thing, and then it started really taking off, and it got to the point of, wow, I think I could do this full time. This is something what you do. This is something everyone listening to us now, watching us right now, can do. They don't have to go, it doesn't have to be full time. You just start part time and watch it build. What do you think keeps people from doing that?
Yeah, I think a few things probably. One is fear. Then I think
Yeah.
second thing is probably just a lot of folks don't know the opportunities that are out there.
Right.
For me, again, I call myself I was a cowardly conservative. So
Yeah.
toward the end of our stay at the company, we had to watch what we posted on social media. If we posted something that was extremely conservative, Dr. Steve, we would get a visit
Yeah.
by our supervisor.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I know a lot of people live in that same type of environment today.
Yeah.
And so, there was definitely fear. And then, the big issue that I hear a lot of people talk about is, well, what about health insurance? So we had health insurance there. And I really think that's the wrong question. And so when people pose that question to me, I often say, well, what are you doing for your health today? What have you
Mhm.
done for your health this week? Dr.
Right.
Steve, I know you've gone through a tremendous health transformation over the last
Yeah.
year, right? Have you
Yeah.
lost almost close to 60 pounds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
60,
that's
man. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, my encouragement to those kind of to those folks, one is you can't give in to fear, and I think the woke left, and it's really a demonic kind of spirit. That's
Yeah.
where they want us. They
You're
want
right.
us to be fearful. And,
Right.
and unfortunately, that fear has caused a lot of squashing of what I think the majority of Americans really believe in. So we really need, I think, to give, to put that fear down, which is why I love your channel, because you're always encouraging us to be courageous patriots. And that's what it's going to take our country back, to build that parallel economy. There has to be courage that rises up in us.
Yeah, and it's also being aware of other resources as well. I mean, we talk periodically, not as much as we should, about the healthcare cost sharing ministries like
Mm.
Samaritan's Ministries or MediShare. Amish have been using them for ages, and we were on them for forever when I was in the classical school. And they're amazing, and they're literally a fraction of the cost. The premiums are a fraction. They're not even technically premiums. You just pay into a pool, and everyone pays for everybody's healthcare needs. So in other words, they got your back. They'll never have, as I understand, they've never had a single condition that's gone unpaid for. It's there, it's out there for the taking. Like you said, be courageous, and you'll see how the Lord provides. It's just absolutely wonderful. Gang,
Mm.
again, if you're just joining us, Andy's putting on a free training to learn how to free yourself from the woke corporate world and financially flourish in the rising parallel economy. It's an online free training on November 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's free for everyone in this audience. Just click on the link below to lock in your online spot today. I met your lovely wife at Mar-a-Lago. In addition to you, she was I thought much prettier than you, and I know she sells incredible patriotic merchandise. Your kids have gotten into this as well. They've started their own businesses. So this does seem like amazing freedom for your family. What has this move just done for you as a family? I can imagine it wasn't just something for you yourself personally, or you and your wife. This is something for your whole household.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it totally transformed the atmosphere that was in our family. Again, when we were going through that time, it was really soul crushing. I really felt, again, like a cowardly conservative. And when I did take that risk and step out, the atmosphere in our home has completely changed. And so we're really all entrepreneurs. My son just graduated high school. He actually works for me full time, but then I also encouraged him to start a business of his own. And just within the last 6 months, he sold over $10,000 worth of merchandise in the business that he started as a 17 who became an 18-year-old. And so that kind of pioneering spirit, right? Like that's what our country was built on. And I can tell you this, when I lay my head down at night, the satisfaction that comes from knowing that my hands have been put to a business that we're building as a family, there's never been a better feeling for myself, my wife, my children. My wife actually, she produces merchandise for a lot of our local conservative board members. So, during all of the school board member runs, she's the one that they come to produce their signs, produce their merchandise, as well as she has an amazing Trump store and just has, she sold some phenomenal Trump merchandise. So that's great for her because it brings her core values, conservative core values, and then she's able to demonstrate them in a way of business.
Andy, do you have a link? Why don't we send some people over there right now?
I
What's the
do.
ad?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make sure to give you the link and it'll be here on the interview.
All right, very good. Well, click down below to check out Andy's wife's amazing stuff. I saw some of the photos on her phone of her portfolio, as it were. It's wonderful stuff. So again, free online training, November 22nd, 3 p.m. Eastern. Click on the link below to register. So just give us a little bit of a taste, maybe an aerial view of what we can expect if we sign
Yep.
up for your free training.
Yeah, so we're going to show you how you can build a cash flowing business that can scale to $1 million and beyond. Our family business this year, Dr. Steve, is we're going to sell over $14 million this year. We're projected to
I knew
sell
you were
$20
eight
million
figures.
in 2014. So that's pretty
Wow.
cool. And again, it's my wife, my son, my nephew, my daughter. We all work together using that Duck Dynasty, right? That's our motto.
Yep.
That's who we want to be. And so, 10 years ago, we saw the potential. We started sharing that same message, right, that our neighbors shared with us. We started making posts, social media, like I shared earlier. We've been able to help thousands of people experience that same freedom that we experienced when we left that woke corporation 8 years ago. So I'm super excited to partner with you all, Dr. Steve, to make the training available to any patriot in your audience who's really looking for that self-sufficiency.
Absolutely. Gang, I cannot urge you more to do this. We're all founding fathers here, right? I like to point out to people the real founding fathers were not necessarily the aristocracy that we rightly honor and so forth, who wrote documents and so forth. The real founding fathers were the farmers, just your average Americans who were fighting for faith, family, and freedom. That's the real founding fathers. And this is your opportunity to restore our nation back to health in terms of faith, family, freedom. You heard it. Andy's on his way to making 20 mil in 2024. He was where you are now. Click on that link below right now, secure a spot with Andy, and learn how you can join this journey, this amazing journey towards faith, family, and freedom by building wealth and moving beyond the commute, the office, the bureaucracy, especially the woke bureaucracy and the like. Click on the link below. November 22nd, 3 p.m. Eastern is the time. Check it out. Do not wait. These fill up. We have limited spots on the webinar software, so don't be shut out. Click on the link below. Sign up right now. You're going to absolutely love it. Andy is the best. Andy, my friend, love it, man. I look forward to the 22nd. Can't wait to
Thanks,
see you
Dr.
then.
Steve.
You bet.